What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be starting and finishing the concrete slab on grade foundation for my custom home build. Let's get into the video. So today we're actually installing the form boards, and then this afternoon the plumbing crew is coming out to do the underground plumbing for all of the drains for the house. Thereafter that, we're going to start the prep work, where we're going to dig the footings and the beams, we're going to install the vapor barrier, and then we're going to install all of the rebar for this traditional rebar foundation. Then after that, we're going to pour in the concrete, put a finish on it, and take off all of these form boards, and the concrete foundation will be complete. I believe this part of the build, the concrete foundation part of the build, is going to last anywhere from hopefully about 7 days. So that's about how long this video will be, over the course of about 7 days. But before I show the form boards that are getting installed, I want to tell you how I'm saving roughly $10,000 to $15,000 on my concrete foundation. And I don't know exactly how much doing the foundation this way is going to save me at this point, but by the end of this video, once everything is finished, I'll be able to tell you the exact numbers on how much it costs and how much it saved me by doing the foundation this way. So let me explain. So a couple weeks ago, whenever I was doing all the planning and budgeting and sending all the paperwork to the bank to get ready to do this project, I had to get bids on my concrete foundation. So a couple weeks ago, I reached out to 5 turnkey concrete subcontractors to give me a bid for the foundation. And a turnkey subcontractor is one that provides all the material and all the labor to do their trade. So they are by far the easiest subcontractor to work with, because as a builder, all I have to do is schedule them to do the job and then pay them when the job is finished. So I received 5 bids from these turnkey subcontractors who are providing all the material and all the labor, and they ranged anywhere from $60,000 up to $75,000 for my foundation. Well, turns out that happened to be a lot more than I was really budgeting for the concrete foundation. So I had to start exploring another method, which is, instead of hiring a turnkey subcontractor to provide all the material and all the labor, I had to act as the turnkey subcontractor who would provide all the material and all the labor. So I need to provide the form board material, I need to provide the makeup material, which is all the rebar and the vapor barrier and some other items, as well as I would have to order all the concrete for the concrete delivery to pour it out. And then I would also have to hire a form installation crew. I would have to hire a concrete prep work crew to dig all the beams and the footings, put in the vapor barrier, install the rebar, and then lastly, I'd have to hire another contractor to do all the finish work and take off the forms to finish the concrete slab. So I had to go through everything to meet all these new suppliers and meet all these new subcontractors to be able to do this kind of work. And after I built the budget for the concrete foundation that way, I learned that the concrete foundation would probably cost me roughly $40,000 to $45,000 in comparison to the $60,000 to $75,000 it would cost me if I were to hire a turnkey concrete subcontractor. So of course, I took advantage of that opportunity to save $15,000 to $20,000 on the foundation by piecemealing the concrete foundation and hiring all labor-only subcontractors, as well as handling all the material orders for my concrete foundation. So that is how I'm going to save roughly $15,000 to $20,000 on this part of the build. Now let's go check out the form board installation. So you can see behind me, the crew actually already has about 80 to 90% of the forms already installed, and installing the forms really doesn't take all that long. This 7-man crew got here about 8 a.m. and they're gonna have everything finished by about 12 p.m. So that's roughly 4 hours to do a 5,000 square foot slab worth of forms. So it really doesn't take that long. But the very first step as the builder to get ready to do the forms is I have to hire a surveyor to come out and mark the building corners so that this crew knows exactly where to install the forms. So you can see right here is a building corner. This is actually going to be a bedroom, and you can see clearly there's a corner here. I had to hire a surveyor to come out, and he's the one who put the stake to signify this is where a building corner is going to go. And right here, there is a nail below the corner So right here is a nail that the surveyor drove into the ground that is exactly where this building corner needs to go. And you can see the form crew has this corner setting directly over that nail. So the surveyor marked 4 corners with nails, and then the form crew showed up, and that gives them enough information to know exactly where the forms need to go, where the foundation is going to get built. They also use, of course, the building plans that has a page specifically for the foundation. And this page has all the measurements they need to be able to cut each form to length, as well as what location to install them. So the forms, of course, lay out the location and elevation of the future concrete slab. We've got most of it finished. We'll get this wrapped up, and then this afternoon, the plumbing crew is coming out to install the underground plumbing for all the drains of my house. So the form installation crew was able to finish installing all of the forms in just a couple hours, and then the plumbing crew showed up to do the underground plumbing. So a lot of comments I get in my videos are, why do you put your plumbing underneath your concrete slab? Well, I understand they're probably located in different parts of America, but here in my part of America, and more specifically my part of Texas, Southeast Texas, the most common foundation type is a concrete slab on grade foundation, which essentially means you're just going to put a concrete slab, a big slab of concrete. You're gonna just set a slab of concrete on grade or on top of the dirt. And since you're putting this concrete directly on the dirt, the plumbing works with gravity and it has to run downhill. Therefore, the plumbing system has to go below the concrete slab and then drain outwards towards either a city sewer pipe, or in my specific situation, a private septic system. And this is going to be my first project ever installing, and being a homeowner ever having a private septic system, so that ought to be interesting. So let me show you what our sewer system looks like and kind of how it works. So this is a 4-man plumbing crew. One guy operates the mini excavator, and the other 3 men get in the bottom of the trenches, smooth everything out and make it slope the way it needs to slope. And then of course they assemble all the PVC pipes and the connections in the right locations according to the house plans for the sinks and the tubs and so on. So this is what the plumbing looks like right now. And the kind of plumbing system starts right here, and it all drains that way, because on the other side of that guy right there is where the septic system is going to go. So you'll notice that the trenches start shallow right here, and everything falls on like a 1/8 inch slope that way. So the trenches get deeper and deeper. And pretty much this is like the main drain line that goes down this line. And you can see all of these other sinks connect right here. I believe that over there is a washing machine from the laundry that comes over here and connects to the main drain. And then you come further this way, we have a island sink right there. Over there, I think we have a, I don't know, I'm gonna say a refrigerator, but I'm not sure. Drains this way. And then we keep coming this way down the main drain line. And this here is a powder bathroom. Keeps coming this way. And then on this side of the house, we have a half bathroom, another half bathroom. Anyways, everything comes this way and slopes out under the hole in that form board where the main drain line is going to run out. And for now, they're going to stub it, meaning they're just probably going to put a cap on it. But eventually, I'm going to have a big septic system that's going to process all of the sewer generated from our house and living here. And it's going to go out into a sprinkler system and be sprinkled out into my yard. So the plumbing crew is now wrapping up the underground plumbing. This is something that has only taken this 4-man crew probably 2.5 hours at this point. The full underground plumbing will be done in probably 3.5, 4 hours. And then tomorrow we're going to start doing the makeup for the concrete foundation, which is going to be digging the beams and footings, installing all the rebar, and getting ready to pour in the concrete. prep work for my concrete foundation is fully complete. And actually in just about 12 hours, we're going to be pouring in the liquid concrete material into this foundation and finishing up this stage of the build. But before we do that, I want to tell you what kind of foundation I'm doing, why I decided to do this kind of foundation, and then I'm going to show you the finished product of this stage of the concrete foundation. So there are several different options out there for you to choose from when it comes to choosing a foundation for your home build. For instance, there are basement foundations, pier and beam foundations, traditional rebar foundations, post-tension foundations, and likely several other options out there that I'm not really aware of because they're not common practice here in my part of America. But for me specifically, I had two main concrete foundation options that I could choose from for this project. I did not have the opportunity to take advantage of a basement foundation, and that is because my soil type here on this land, as well as the water table here in my location, is too high. Essentially meaning if I were to dig out a hole and do a basement foundation, it would be filled with water 24/7. But maybe further inland, further away from the coast than Houston, Texas, where I'm just 90 miles away from the coast, maybe somewhere like Kansas or Nebraska, further inland of America, when you get further away from the water table drops, and that's when you can take advantage of the opportunity to dig a hole under your house and do a basement foundation. But for me specifically, I had two main foundation options that I had to choose from, and that was a traditional rebar foundation and a post-tension foundation. The main difference between the two is one is filled with a bunch of rebar and concrete, whereas the post-tension foundation does not have as much rebar. Instead, it has some cables that get stressed out and provide tension on the concrete slab. So those are the two main options. Post-tension foundations are likely much cheaper. For instance, on this one, I knew I could have saved anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, but considering I only have experience working with traditional rebar foundations on my last two home builds, I did not want to use this big custom home build project as an experiment and try to do a post-tension foundation for my first time. So I felt the most comfortable going with a traditional rebar foundation, as well as the shape of my foundation is a little complex and the engineer recommended a traditional rebar foundation. Now let me show you the prep work and all the work that the crew did to get ready to pour in the concrete. So after all the form boards were installed, and also after the underground plumbing was installed by the plumber, the next step was the concrete makeup crew came in to do all of the prep work for this concrete foundation. They started by digging the trenches for all of the beams in the house. And these beams, specifically for my build, were 12 inches wide by 24 inches deep, so 1 foot wide by 2 foot deep. These beams are located directly under all of the load-bearing walls on the house, as well as in some other locations, and really act as the backbone of this concrete foundation because they hold a very large volume of concrete, as well as a whole lot of really big rebar. So essentially, it is the backbone of this concrete foundation because the top of the concrete foundation is only 4 inches thick, and the beams are 12 inches wide by 24 inches deep. So I believe the beams are probably the most strongest part of this concrete foundation. After the beams were dug, the makeup crew installed this black poly vapor barrier throughout all of the concrete foundation. And this vapor barrier will keep water from coming into direct contact with the bottom of the concrete foundation. Because if water is in direct contact with the bottom of the concrete foundation, it will cause early expiration. And the last part of the concrete makeup is installing all of the rebar throughout the house. And like I said, the beams get jammed packed full of a lot of rebar. So they start by installing all of the rebar and all of the beams, and then lastly they come on top and they install all of the rebar across the top of the foundation in a grid pattern. And of course, all of this concrete makeup work gets done exactly to the engineer's specifications listed on my foundation plan on my building blueprints. So now that we are fully ready to dump in the concrete, I have the concrete finishers scheduled for 6:30 tomorrow morning. I have the boom pump truck scheduled for 6:30 in the morning, and I have 150 yards of 3,000 PSI concrete scheduled for delivery for 6:30 tomorrow morning. This is my first time handling all of the material and all the labor for a concrete foundation, so I'm a little bit nervous for tomorrow. So hopefully everything goes good. We'll see you in the morning. right, it's about 5:50 in the morning the very next day, so that means it is pour day, and I actually just pulled into the community. I'm about a quarter mile out from the home build, and to be honest, I got a little bit of butterflies in my stomach. I'm feeling just a little bit nervous. I feel like it's game day back in the day when we used to play college football, but I think I feel like that because remember back in the beginning of the video I told you I am piecemealing this foundation, and in the past I've always hired a turnkey subcontractor to deal with the material and deal with the labor, and along with that he took on the liability and responsibility of dealing with all the coordination between material deliveries and subcontractors. So therefore, today is a very important day that I'm taking on all of that liability and all that pressure and responsibility of dealing with the material deliveries and dealing with the labor subcontractors, which I've never dealt with before. And on pour day, it kind of all has to go perfect because once you pour in that concrete, it's going to start drying and you can't stop until you get everything poured. So anyways, just kind of a little bit more pressure on my shoulders today. I have a concrete pump truck scheduled for delivery at 6 a.m. Looks like they are here a little early. Thank God at least one van is here for the concrete finishers, so that's great. Now we're just needing some concrete to get delivered. So anyways, hopefully everything goes great today. I'm a little bit nervous. It is construction. I'm sure there will be one or two or several problems that come up, but it's not about what problems come up, it's about how I deal with the problems. So anyways, wish me the best of luck on my first concrete foundation pour day as an owner builder.
Yeah, I was just letting you know. I hadn't called earlier because one of the pipes that comes out of the water wheel in the back, and it is the one that feeds me all the water. So it burst. So I was replacing it right now. Since it's been kind of cold this last couple of days.
Okay, so sure. What's the update?
Yeah, I was just calling you to tell you I'm ready. I'm about to go ahead and start loading your trucks.
Okay, gotcha. It's 6 a.m. now, so about when will the first truck be here?
You're 30 minutes from here, so you should. Yeah, there's not really much traffic or chaos on the way over there, so you should be getting the trucks around 6:30, 6:40 somewhere.
Okay.
In between.
Okay, so everything's good now, though?
Yeah, everything's good to go now, sir.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, sir.
All right, thanks, bye. All right, I think it is 6:03 in the morning and I already got a problem here today. He said a pipe bursted, which obviously is a lie considering temperatures never got below 32 degrees. But he said a pipe bursted where he gets the water for the concrete trucks, and now the trucks are 45 minutes behind. So now I have to pay for an hour extra on this pump truck that costs $250 an hour, and the finishing crew is probably going to be pissed off because they want to get done and finished and home as fast as possible. 6:03, one problem in. Let's see how many more come up today. Shit. How you doing?
Good, you?
Great. My name's Case.
David.
It's good to meet you. I'm the builder. Go ahead.
Probably got a problem with that tree.
Okay, yeah, they told me they were gonna send some extra hoses.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
You got some extra hoses? Do you think the tree will still be a problem?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think? What are we gonna do?
Just gonna have to go in and out of it.
Really? Okay.
They'll have to push a little bit when you get up underneath them.
Okay, I mean, I was hoping y'all would send enough hoses where we wouldn't have to jack with it, but you still think we'll be hitting it, huh?
It don't matter. It's still gonna have to be down. If I put all the hoses on it, it's still gonna be hitting the limbs and knocking the limbs off.
Fuck. Okay. Sounds good. Well, we gotta do what we gotta do. Hopefully we don't fuck it up too bad, you know?
Yeah.
Poco problema. 45 minutos más tarde de concreto. Pinche. Él dice una pipa por mi agua es, pero es no muy frío. Él dice es muy frío. Es no muy frío. Pinche.
Sí.
Ok, pero él dice 45 minutos o a las 6:30 o 7.
7.
Sí, más o menos.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah, so
Okay, muy bien.
it's no more problem. Bueno.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's only there's one problem right now.
Más, más, más.
Problem.
Es construction, ¿ya? Problemas. Okay.
Todos los días.
Sí, mucho. Okay. Oh. Looks like the pump truck is finished getting set up. Pretty cool. I'm excited to see that thing work. And the finished crew is here ready to go. Now we're just waiting on concrete delivery. So freaking fix the pipe and deliver the concrete material, please. The first concrete truck has arrived, just an hour and 15 minutes late. So now let's get that concrete dumped into this concrete pump, then pumped out into my concrete foundation, and let's get this concrete foundation built without any more problems. Let's go. So right now there's about 5 more trucks waiting on the street, and then we can only dump out 1 truck at a time because only 1 concrete mixer truck can fit here on the driveway. But essentially the concrete is coming out of that boom that is spinning up there mixing the concrete and dumping into this big pump truck. And as it dumps out, it gets pumped through this hose right here. It gets dumped through this pipe. It gets pumped through this pipe and goes up the boom. Right now it's going over a big oak tree, and then it is getting pumped out into my concrete foundation. I estimated for 150 yards, which I believe is 15 of these concrete trucks. And right now I think this is like number 7. And you can see we have about half of the concrete foundation poured. Believe it or not, so far so good. I think we've only been pouring concrete for about an hour, hour and a half. So we'll probably finish this whole pour. If I order the right amount of concrete, we'll probably finish this full pour in only the matter of about 3 hours. Just keep up the good work, team. The pour for my concrete foundation is now fully complete, thankfully, and I was able to escape this part of the foundation without any major problems, other than the concrete delivery getting started 1 hour late. So we were really off to a rough start, and I thought it was gonna be a rough day after that start, but we're able to escape this part of the build without any major problems. Yeah, we still got a little bit of work to do, but now it's the easy part. We've avoided most of the hard part. So now we are moving on to the finishing stage of the concrete foundation. And this 3-man crew was able to pour this 5,018 square foot slab in just under 4 hours, because they started at 8 and they were done by 12 o'clock. So pretty impressive job by this 3-man crew. But now we are moving on to the finishing stage, which is the very last part. And this is where the crew goes through and rips off all of the float boards. You can see this has a 3.5-inch drop because there was a 2x4 here and over there as well. So everywhere that the floor drops, like the garage, the covered portiche, and the patio, and the shower, they rip off the floats, and then they start to finish the top of the concrete using some different trowels. Like he's using a bull float, that guy over there using a hand trowel, this guy on the machine is using a power trowel. Essentially, using all these tools to finish the concrete will put all of the aggregate down in the bottom of the concrete, and then the cement will rise to the top of the concrete and cause a good seal or a good finish on the concrete floor. And then for the patio, the covered portiche in the front and then also the garage, we are doing a broom finish, which a broom finish is going to make it a non-slippery surface for the exterior because of course it will get wet. So after they finish the concrete, which it is drying pretty fast because the sun is out and it went from like 35 degrees to like 50 or 85 degrees. After they do all the finishing, they will then wreck the forms or rip out all of these form boards. They'll finish the sides of the concrete and then there'll be nothing left to do but let it dry, and then we'll be starting the framing. So let's finish up this concrete foundation. After 7 long days of some very hard work, the concrete foundation is now fully complete. And in my opinion, it looks great. I'm sure there's some others out there that disagree, but you probably saw in the beginning of that clip, or maybe even behind me, that the framing material package just got delivered. And that is because we are starting framing tomorrow. I'm not trying to build this house in 60 days like I did my last one, but at the same point, I'm also not dragging my feet because every single day that we're building this house, we're paying a interest-only payment, I guess, to the bank for every month. So the faster I finish, the faster I get off of those interest-only payments and into a 30-year permanent mortgage. So that's a conversation for another day. But the concrete foundation turned out fantastic. And to be quite honest with you, I'll just say I had a fantastic experience taking on this challenge of doing this concrete foundation piecemeal and hiring labor-only subcontractors and dealing with all the material suppliers for this foundation. And man, if you can think back, that's like 8 different vendors that I had to work with. I had to get the forms delivered, I had to get the forms installed, I had to get all the rebar delivered and makeup accessories and whatnot, and I had to get all the makeup done. Then I had to get the concrete material delivered, I had to get the concrete pump truck delivered and scheduled, and then I also had to get the finishers scheduled to finish the concrete. So yeah, I think that's 7 different vendors that not only did I have to get scheduled, but before that I had to go out and find these people and meet new people to take on this challenge. And man, I would not go back. I wouldn't trade it for anything. A, because I saved a lot of money. B, I made some great contacts, and in life it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So the concrete foundation turned out great. I'm very proud of the job the finishers did. That was my first time working with them, like I said, and they did a great job on the finish. And I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I am going to attempt to do a polished finished floor. So this concrete is actually going to be my finished floor. I'm not going to put down a bunch of tile. I'm not going to put down a bunch of vinyl or luxury vinyl plank, LVP, or anything like that, because that would cost a lot of money. But honestly, more importantly, I would like to do a polished concrete floor because I really think it's going to match like the design and style of the house we're going for, kind of a contemporary or minimalistic or modern or whatever the case may be. So the finish, as you can see, they did a polished finish right here, and it very shiny, looks great. Although you can see there's some white shit on here, and I'm not sure if that comes off or not. But anyways, concrete, it's a cool material. It looks great to me, even with its imperfections. So I'm someone that sees the imperfections in concrete. You can put a clear coat on it or however they do the polishing. I'm yet to learn that, and I'm going to appreciate how they look. So to me, they look fantastic. I'm okay with the imperfections. So right here leading out is actually into the big like 1,200 square foot covered porch area. There's going to be my future pool right out there, and you can see there's a difference in color from the house floors to the porch floors, and that's because this has a broom finish. I'll give you, maybe I'll just put up some B-roll, but this is a broom finish on all of the exterior concrete surfaces. We put a broom finish, and that is to keep it from being slippery, because of course water is going to get in here, and kids are going to be running back and forth in and out of the house, whatever the case may be, and you don't want to be walking out here on a slick finished concrete floor, slip and fall on concrete, probably hurt yourself. So that is why we put a broom finish on this porch area. We also did a broom finish here in the covered portiche, covered parking area. Did a broom finish over there in the front entry. But we did not do a broom finish over here in the garage, you can see we did a slick finish. And I kind of asked them, hey, why aren't we doing a broom finish there? And they recommended doing a slick finish. They said, oh, it's normal, we'll do a slick finish right here. So whatever, maybe I'll just do an epoxy, or maybe I'll go ahead and polish this area as well to give it a good finished look. So there's some of that. One other thing I think might be worth mentioning is definitely going to be a challenge is this is going to be my shower. And it is only, I think it measures like 4 foot by 5 foot. And I know a lot of people building a custom home probably don't do a 4 foot by 5 foot shower that they use every single day of their lives. Instead, they probably do something like freaking 10 foot by 8 foot or something like that. But me personally, I like getting in a small enclosed area that's all closed off with glass, and I like to have that steam really build up inside a small area. In comparison to a big area, it's gonna take longer for that steam to ever build up, even if it does, or it might just all get out of there. So that's why I did a relatively small shower. But the thing I was gonna talk about is, you can see we kind of did this shower a little bit differently because I told them to try to finish this area as best as possible. That way I can polish all of the flooring and have this shower pan match the exact flooring inside the house. Otherwise we would have to tile it or do something else, but I want to do the same flooring right here in my house as right there in the shower pan, so the floors are consistent throughout on the first level. Anyways, the concrete foundation is done. We have the framing material delivered, and actually my framer came out during the middle of the day and started snapping these red lines. I know the concrete, you can see over there, it's a little red. It's not the cleanest because there's already been people walking on it and whatnot, but the framer has snapped these lines. You can see all this drawing, and he went ahead and took the time to come out today to snap these lines, so when him and his crew show up, they can just grab the material and get started throwing up all the walls for the first floor. One other thing I really didn't mention throughout the process of building this concrete foundation is, whenever the foundation was getting poured in, the finishers stuck in these anchor bolts. These are, I guess, 1/2 inch thick anchor bolts that are 10 inches long, and it's sticking out of the concrete 4 inches, so it goes 6 inches deep down into the concrete. And these are placed on a 3 foot center, so every 3 feet are these anchor bolts, and these anchor bolts are what you attach the bottom plate of the framing to. So these anchor bolts are how the actual frame of the house gets attached to the foundation. And one other thing I put on here are these. Oh, these are Samson tie downs, and whenever the wall gets framed and the sheathing gets put up, these tie downs will get folded up and nailed into the sheathing, and that will really help secure, because those are a lot stronger than the 1/2 inch anchor bolts. All right, y'all, look, here I am, 26 years old, building my 3rd home ever, and it's a 3,500 square foot, 5 bedroom, 4 bathroom, custom home build. I'm building my own pool. All these crazy special features about this home and this property and this project. And no, I'm not bragging. I am excited, but I'm not bragging. My point is, this is just my 3rd home build ever, and I'm already taking on a project like this. And maybe you're watching this video thinking, man, I really wish I could learn to build a house or build my own house. Maybe you want to build a house to sell, to start a business. Maybe you want to build a house to rent, to build a bunch of rental properties, or build a fourplex or a multifamily property. Or maybe you want to build your own house to live in, like I'm doing in this situation, where I'm building my house to move in with my family and raise all my kids, which I'm stoked about. So my point is, maybe you're watching this video and you're having those thoughts. I just want to tell you, this is just my 3rd project, and to be honest, it's a really large project, and I'm really not having any issues. Yeah, it's construction, issues happen. And yes, it is a challenge and a risk to take on building your own house, especially your first one. But I was able to build my first house in like 3.5 months without any guidance whatsoever, and really not any hiccups. So my point is, if you're interested in building your own house, then I highly recommend you doing so. Building these houses has really changed my life, and I know it has set my life on a projection that is for the best. So I highly recommend you take that challenge and you learn how to build your own house, because I promise you it is for the best. And I personally try to help everyone become an owner builder by offering a digital course that teaches you a step-by-step process for you to take to build your own house. Everything like where to find subcontractors, where to buy the material, how to do the budgeting, how to do the scheduling, how to do the job site management. And I've already uploaded probably 75 plus videos specifically for this project up into that that course teaching people how to become an owner builder. So if that's you, you want to become an owner builder, then click the link down below and go check out my digital course. I promise you will not be disappointed. Okay, so if you want to know exactly how much this concrete foundation costs, then click right here to watch that video where I go through a complete cost breakdown on my concrete foundation. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.